As you can tell, we're real fancy around here. I decided to do this on my bed because it seems like the easiest place to do it. Melissa, are you being held hostage? Should we come for you? No, no worries. These gray dark walls are just my bedroom walls. Recording this video seemed so overwhelming that I was like, what's the lowest bar? Like for you to actually do it, Melissa. I'm talking to myself. If I could sit in my bed and record the video, that feels like something I could actually maintain and accomplish. So here we are. Welcome, friend. If you don't know me, I'm sorry for that introduction, but my name is Melissa Dunn, and this channel is all about the Bible, studying the Bible, reading the Bible with friends, seeing God through the pages of the Bible. Today, we are talking about parallel Bible. I went on Instagram and asked you guys, do you use a parallel Bible? Do you even know what a parallel Bible is? And I was shocked. I'm going to put it up somewhere around. And I was shocked at the number of people that did not use it. And I think that's I got so excited. And why I got excited was this is a really quick hack that can make all the difference in the world as you're studying the Bible. First question, let's just get this out of the way. What exactly is a parallel Bible? A parallel Bible is a Bible that has more than one translation. This Bible has 4 translations. So let me show you what that looks like on the inside of this Bible. So you have all 4 translations right next to each other for very easy comparison. The first thing you need to do when you're deciding, like, yes, I want to do a parallel Bible, are you going to buy this? Please don't. Or are you going to do it online? So I'll tell you why not to do this, but you do as you please. But my opinion is I do not like this. They are very hard to find. Number one, the translations that you want that are in one book. I don't like these 2 translations. For me personally, I do not like them. That leaves me really with only 2 translations that I would typically be using. It is so thick and it makes the writing so small. I am blind as a bat. It's also $40, so I cannot recommend this. But if you do want to do this per usual, go to eBay, find one used, and buy it that way if you're totally opposed to digital. What I really think you should do is get it free and much more practical because you get to choose exactly how many translations and which translation you want in a really simple way. So that is what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to type in Bible Gateway into Google and it's going to be the first thing that pops up. I'm going to click Bible Gateway and it's going to bring me to their new, very nice website. If I really want to narrow in on 1 or 2 or 3 verses, typically what I'm going to do is go into Bible Gateway and type in the exact verse that I want. So here, I'm going to type in Ephesians 4, verse 7. To add a parallel Bible, you simply click the 2 pages and a second box will appear. Okay, and you see that pulled up the message automatically. So I'm just going to go to the drop-down menu and I'm going to change that from the message to the ESV, which is a solid translation. Now I want you to see that I have these 2 translations now side by side, just one verse. Because remember, I want to get real focused, and now I'm focused on this just one verse. I actually am going to add in a 3rd Bible. And why don't we do the New Living Translation for this 3rd Bible? Now what I have is 3 versions side by side, all Ephesians 4 verse 7, and each verse is in a different version. This is where the magic starts to happen. So I'm going to X out of my NIV. So now I only have 2 versions, which is the ESV and the NLT that I'm looking at on my laptop. Melissa, why did you X out of the NIV? Well, the NIV is what I'm using, and I'm making up this wording, what I'm using for my base translation. Melissa, what is a base translation? It is like my foundation translation, that rhymes, that I am going to use to make this verse as simple as possible. So I'm going to take my base translation, which is the translation that I most often use because it's the thing that I've memorized I don't know how many verses in. It's what I just typically go to. So it lays as the base translation. Then I'm going to put all my work on top of the NIV translation. And I'm going to do that on my iPad, but for many of you, that will be just on a piece of paper. And listen, you don't have to go out and buy a pretty notebook. Just grab a napkin, grab a scrap sheet of paper, grab a Post-it note. It literally does not matter. Just grab something, and our first step is going to be to write out Ephesians 4, verse 7 in my base translation, which is NIV. You pick your base translation. When I'm writing out the verse, I'm going to leave wide gaps, and that is so I can write in between the lines. Okay, so I'm going to read this in my base verse first, and it says, "But to each one of us, grace has been given as Christ apportioned it." Melissa, why did you pick Ephesians 4:7? I literally have no idea. I just grabbed it out of the air. I have not pre-planned it. Let's just see what we can see from grabbing a verse random. The teacher in me wants to put all kinds of caveats, like we've got to understand the context. We can't just pick one verse. I think you guys know all of that. This is as an example. So this is within the context of the chapter, which is in the context of the book of Ephesians, yada, 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 yada. I'm going to be a good friend and spare you all these details of what I'm doing here. Really what I'm doing is laying all three translations out, and I am looking at the word differences. I'm making observations on what is the same and what is different, and I'm really just looking, observing, thinking, and doing a whole lot of talking.
2 hours later.
I'm actually going to go back to my base verse and start adding some notes. So at the top of the verse here, basically is the same, meaning this idea that each one of us has been given grace. The only distinguisher is in NLT, instead of grace, it says special gift. So I'm just going to write this in brackets. And because I do color distinction, because I just need it to stand out as something different than my base verse. And let's just stick with NLT, since NLT is the one that said this. We'll just finish it up with the biggest difference that I see is instead of apportioned it, it says through generosity. Let's just put that in purple, and that's going to be for NLT. And I will just make a small note down here that says my NLT is purple. And we'll do that in green. And really what I'm noticing is that in ESV, it's basically the same thing. They've just taken and sort of shifted the words around a bit. But what I do think is helpful is instead of apportioned it, and they use the word measure. So we're going to go up here and we're going to put Christ measured. And then we're going to make that green. Now, what I do like that the ESV has also done is instead of saying it, like NIV does, it actually is very specific. It is telling you what the it actually is. And if we go back and look, the it that it's telling us it is, what did Christ measure or apportion to us? A gift. That's what he has measured out to us. And so I always, when possible, for a pronoun, he, she, they, us, it, them, those, anything that is vague like that, whenever we can specify who it is or what it is, that is super helpful in bringing it way down so that our brain does not have to think as much. We want to get this verse as low and as simple as possible, as if we were saying it to a 3 or 4-year-old. We would want them to be able to understand. And if it's like, well, Melissa, I'm not a 3 or 4-year-old. Yeah, but let's alleviate that weight from our minds, because when we do, we then are able to go deeper into it when that fluffy stuff is taken off and we can see right exactly, plainly what it says, we'll start to connect the deeper pieces of the passage. So instead here with it, I'm going to write gift right under it, highlight it in green. Then I am literally going to read it out loud. Yes, this is what I do. I want my ears to hear it, and it's going to sound like this. But to each one of us, a special gift, grace, has been given as Christ, through a whole lot of generosity, he apportioned it. He measured it out. And what did he measure out? He measured out this gift. As NLT would say, this very special gift. So I'm going to say that again, and I want you to see if that brings more clarity and light to this. But to each one of us, and actually what I would do for that each one, let's go ahead and do it. Specifically, it's Ephesians, and even more specific than that, it's Ephesian believers. But for this, I'm just going to say believers, Christ followers. And I'm just going to highlight this in yellow so that I know that this is my own thoughts. So let's read it again. You ready? But to each and every believer in Christ, a special gift, this grace has been given as Christ has apportioned it, has given generously, has measured it out. And what it is, what is being measured, what is being generously given is this gift. Now, what I would want to do now, which we're not going to do, I'm not going to keep you. But now, what is the question as we read that through? Like, what's the biggest question that we should easily be able to define and know, which means we got to go back and look in context? What exactly is this special gift? What exactly is this grace? What exactly has been measured out generously? What is it? I would want to be able to say it simply and very clearly, to write out special gift, grace is ... But that's not for today. We're going to wrap it on up. I hope that was helpful in some way, shape, or form. I probably could have picked a better verse to do that, but I just don't have the fortitude. So until next week. So until next week.